Hi and welcome to today's live webinar. The topic today is Introduction to Citizen Development. My name's Victoria Grech. I will be your host. Let's go through some housekeeping first of all. So we really want this to be interactive. If you can use the chat and let me know you can hear me, just I'm monitoring that right now. And then literally there is a chat channel, a tab right at the bottom hand side of your desktop, your laptop or your smartphone. If you can put anything you want to communicate with us in there. If you do lose connection, the best thing to do is just log out and log back in with the link that you registered for this webinar and we sent you an email. There's also a queue little tab there, that's for questions. That makes my life a little bit easier if you can remember, because I'll look at those first, and rather than trying to miss some of the questions, I don't want to miss those because I want it to be interactive today. So let's look at the agenda. Our first topic is going to be what is citizen development. We're also going to talk about what are fusion teams. And then finally, we're going to wrap up with best practices for successful citizen development projects. So let's start with our first topic. What is citizen development? By 2024, at least 65% of all new business applications will be created with high productivity toolsets, such as low-code and no-code application development platforms. And this is when I'm going to hand over and introduce to Paul, our presenter for today.
Thank you, Vicky. So, let me introduce myself. My name is Paul George. I'm a Senior Solutions Consultant at TAP. TAP stands for the Agile Applications Platform. We're a no-code platform. So, I'm going to answer the first question, what is citizen development? We are finding there's a shortage of developers in the market and digital transformation projects are being delayed right now. So it's a really good time to be looking at citizen development to overcome the problem. Citizen development, it's the process of building apps by non-technical employees using no-code, low-code development platforms such as TAP. Importantly, you do not need to be a developer to create apps, and it presents a low-cost and highly efficient way to digitise the process.
Thanks, Paul. I've got a slide here and I'm sure you just covered all of that. So we've got reduces IT backlogs, it increases the speed of innovation, development resources, which you just spoke about, and I know definitely I'm seeing in the marketplace and the people we're speaking to from our side of the business, it's really hard to find really talented developers, even maybe retaining talent is quite difficult today. And productivity across the organisation. So let's go to the next topic. What is fusion teams? Now, Paul, you'll know, both of us were like, fusion teams, citizen development, we've probably been at this now for quite a while, but these are very new terms that we don't hear in the marketplace when we speak to our own clients a lot. They've never even heard of sometimes no code, low code, which we found out last week. So potentially the citizen development part is a lot more unheard of and a lot more questions around that, because I am seeing your questions, we will come to those, but I think if we just get through to fusion teams, then I know, Paul, you're going to, when you get to topic 3 about best practices, I think that will really cement kind of how do you do this, why do you do this, whose job is to do what part, that's all coming. And actually part of fusion teams, I think this is quite a good quote here. The rise of fusion teams is evidence that the boundaries between IT and the rest of the business are blurring at an accelerated rate, and that business leaders have a growing appetite for planning, running and managing their own digital initiatives. That was quite wordy to say, Paul.
Yes, it was.
So can we go backwards from that? Because if I'd never heard of fusion teams, this tells me the benefits, and there's obviously people who are talking about it, it's going to be in the future.
Yeah.
But who is actually in a fusion team?
So a fusion team obviously is a group of people within a team, and who's in it? Well, it's really everybody that's needs to be involved for the solution development life cycle. So that means right from the beginning, the ideation. So that's where a fusion team kind of starts, and they create the application from that point. So it's the ideation, and then you've got all the way through to the point where it goes live. So it's a group of people that's involved. Absolutely, you need your citizen developer. Those are the guy or guys that are actually building the application using the platform technology, the no-code or low-code platform
there's
technology.
Matter experts.
Yes,
those are citizen developers.
Yeah, you need guys that are actually trained. They have to be trained to use the no-code, low-code platform, but obviously they're not developers and they don't need to learn code. So it's a very sort of simple user interface and easy to use platform. It should be by design if it's a no code, low code platform. So they're involved, of course, but you've got other people, and very key people would be your matter experts of the process in hand. And that could be either a manager who's kind of responsible for that sort of business process, service, product, whatever you're managing there, and you've got that business process around that, or it could be the actual person that's on the coalface. So it could be the person that's actually using
the system.
The system, yeah. I mean, currently you find
they normally have the biggest pain, right?
Yeah. I mean, they're the guys that are using a system, might be a paper system, might be using spreadsheets. They could be using a system that's kind of like not really working how they need it to work, and that's why they're looking to develop a better system using no code, low code. And a Fusion team, they're a key part of that as well. So if you're not using someone who's actually on the coalface of that and a matter expert of that process, should be using someone who's kind of managing that process and knows it inside out.
To the business.
Yeah.
And then where does the IT then sit?
So the IT really sits more as a governance for the projects, really. So, just ensuring that GDPR, for instance, is being adhered to, data security. If you're using a credible platform, there's plenty out there. They'll have all that functionality and governance really kind of considered and built in. So it kind of self-audits. But at the end of the day, the IT are probably going to be responsible for the system once it goes live, and from a support perspective. So they would want to know, give it some governance basically.
Yes.
Just make sure.
Let me just check okay. I have quite a lot of questions. So give me a second, let me have a look.
Sure.
But actually I'm thinking we're going to talk about best practices now. So rightly so, someone says they're from the IT side and citizen development can sound like a big headache. I have to agree with them without the governance. So I think let's move on to some of the points, because I know you've got some really good things about kind of best practices. What are the points to choose? Someone has said, how do I choose the right no-code, low-code platform? And I know we have some points around that. So let's move on.
Well, just a quick one on that. You said about governance and it can be a headache. Well, currently now there's already what we call shadow IT, which is, you could call that there are citizen developers already in our business that are developing applications using spreadsheets. Okay, they're not the best applications potentially to roll out to sort of larger, small, medium and enterprise businesses. And I mean the larger businesses, not the very small ones, because they don't scale very well. And of course you've got your data, and that could be personable and identifiable. So it could be, we see, you can see a lot of GDPR issues, associated to spreadsheets. So to move it to a no-code, low-code platform that's supported properly by a secure database, with that governance in place that IT can, that makes a lot of difference for businesses. Great.
As we're already talking about this, part of this, best practices for citizen development, this is kind of, I guess, our view. There isn't a perfect way. No-code, low-code, citizen development, it's a collaboration and it's working out what works best. And from what you've said there is, it sounds like there's smaller teams than the big teams and things like that. So it's a lot smoother.
No, absolutely. Yeah, when some IT projects, when they're being coded by developers, the developers will not know and understand the process that they are digitizing. So they will need a very good, they need very good instruction on what they've got to build. So it very much is a transition from a process as it is from a use case point of view. What I need to digitize, how can I make it more efficient? So you've got that area which the developers are not involved in at all. And then it moves over to a build based on a functional specification. So there'll be a lot of documentation, no doubt. And the solution will only be as good as that documentation and what's being captured. And through the whole process, you'll have technical project managers. You could have multiple project managers depending on the scale. If you're developing it and you've got a customer involved in that as well, that wants a customer portal, they might have a project manager their side. So you get project managers obviously involved in this always. At the beginning, you get business analysts involved in this as well, so they're looking at the processes as it is. But then you'll need possibly solution architects as well. So solution architects are that kind of bridge between development and the people that understand the process, the business analysis. So yeah, traditional coding of applications involves a lot of people. It takes a lot of time as well. So the solution development life cycles on those can be months, if not. And I've seen them years.
Last week, 18 months. Someone was mentioning.
And I've seen them develop. The underlying technologies that they're developing on can change over the duration of that period as well, which causes, some serious issues. It's almost like going back to square one in some cases. So to develop it on a no-code or a low-code platform, obviously you can shrink that solution development lifecycle right down to a very short period of time. We're talking weeks. To build very comprehensive systems. You don't need a number of project managers or technical project managers. You don't need lots of business analysis. You absolutely don't need developers involved until the point, really it's gone live and really it's the governance. They really audit the no-code, low-code platform before it goes into place for the system developers to use it. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, we've kind of jumped around, but I think let's go through the points and then we can dive into the ones that we maybe haven't. The first point I have is about really you start from scratch, identifies business needs.
So obviously it's the best practice begins there. Identifying the business needs, very important. It really is what drives the application build. It acts as a checklist. So once you've listed all the business needs, and this is the needs for change from what you're doing today to what you need to do tomorrow, and that could be improving the process as it is, or it could be introducing new process that's new to the business and you need to create an application to actually manage that process.
Thanks, Paul. So I have quite a lot of questions asking, is there any advice? Are we going to go over how to choose a no-code, low-code or citizen development platform? Which is ironic because that's my next slide here. Determining a citizen development platform or really a no-code, low-code platform. So Paul, what we're going to do here is I am going to hand over to you again and maybe just some of the bullet points that we've mentioned before that is your advice on what are the things to look out for.
Yes, so how do we choose a no-code, low-code platform provider? So first and foremost, you really want to find something that's easy to use. You don't want a complicated you wouldn't get a complicated no-code system, but you could get a complicated low-code system. So it really is about ease of use. So what you're looking at is a system, a platform, should I say, that has the flexibility and the capability to meet the needs of your business. You definitely need to look at a platform that provides integration potential there, possibilities. So something that's open to connect to other systems for source data, to either pull data into the no-code, low-code platform application environment and push it back out again if needs be. Security is another very important topic when it comes to no-code and low-code platform providers. So you need to ensure that it's secure. Obviously, we're dealing with, in many cases, we're dealing with personal and identifiable information. So that needs to be adhered to as far as sort of policies around GDPR. Scalability is another topic that you need to look at, subject that you need to look at when it comes to choosing your no-code, low-code platform. You want something, especially if you're an enterprise, you want something that can grow as you grow, or it might be, this is for thousands of users, and there are no-code, low-code systems that are used for thousands of users. Support could be important to you too, and I would put that on the list. You must have some good support from this no-code, low-code provider. Times change all the time, technologies change, and you need your no-code, low-code platform to adapt to that as well. So you'll need support of the provider from that. Business IP comes up quite a lot as well. You don't want someone who's really going to hold your business IP. You will create your applications on the no-code, low-code platform. It's your business IP, so you need to make sure that the business IP is yours. The technology might be the platforms, but your business IP is yours. Just look at limitations as well. I mean, if you've got a very simple process that you're a smaller business, a simple process that you're looking to digitise to start off with, maybe a no-code platform might work for you that's quite simple using drag and drop. Of course that's going to have limitations, so it will suit the purpose, but I mean, most people are looking at no-code, low-code platforms to actually solve many sort of business problems and digitise many processes. And the processes can be quite different and can require different capabilities. So I look at a no-code, low-code platform that has not got too many limitations. You want something that's almost limitless, ideally. And transparent pricing is really important. You don't want to get caught with hidden costs down the line once you've invested in that technology. Obviously, you can put a lot of effort into it, setting it up, getting the IT governance, creating your Fusion teams, start building your applications, and then you find out there's some sort of hidden costs that I wasn't aware of further down the line.
So Paul, thanks for that. Part of the transparent pricing as well, I know, I've just got a comment here saying that somebody's got caught out, I'm not going to say who it is, but literally they're having the pricing they like the idea of because they got caught out for usage. So how much you're going to use it. And sometimes you can have a trial and then you think, okay, that's great, and you've got a set user license or something like that, and then you don't understand that there's some more fees. So I think that's something definitely that people have said that's a really good advice that they hadn't thought of before jumping in. Someone else said that would be great if I hadn't spent loads of money up front if I thought about that beforehand.
Yeah.
Let's look at the next point. Citizen development, project planning and implementation. So Paul, is there any advice you can give our audience for project planning or implementations?
Yes, sure. So before we get into the project planning and implementation, we need to look at the ideation. This speeds up the developing and refining of the application creation. You'll use it for projects like replacing a paper process that's inefficient, improving the workflow, automating that where you can, and removing any manual process whatsoever if possible. Increase that communication between the people in the business, the different departments, and make that data real-time available.
And last but not least, post-implementation review. Any last pieces of advice for a post-implementation review?
Yes. Once your application's been implemented and is obviously running live and serving the business, ideally what you do is set a date quite early, maybe 7 days after it's gone live, and get the team together, get that Fusion team that was involved in that full cycle from the software development life cycle from ideation right to the point that it went live. Pull that team together and do a drains up review of how that process, how that digitized process is performing. So how the application is performing. Of course, if there are any issues, you would have heard about them for before that 7-day period, so you would have acted on those quite quickly. But the great thing about the no-code and low-code application development life cycle is you're actually using the app and building the app very early, and then you're refining it through the process. There's no kind of big build at the end of it. It's kind of a moving and living application that starts with a frame and then ends up with your complete application working how you need it to with everybody's input. So it should work 100% live from day one of operation. So yeah, I would put a date in, usually about 7 days, and then have a review, drains up of that application, how it's performing.
Thanks, Paul. I'm just going to go through a few more questions. Lots of people said thank you, this is really helpful. And some are literally acknowledging that yes, without governance. I think there's a lot of discussion going on the chat channel about governance and not having, someone said, the access kind of in shadow IT where business analysts are going away and building everything and not connecting everything, and it's just a mess. So that was definitely someone agreed with you there.
Yeah. I mean, the point of that one is there is shadow IT in many enterprise businesses.
Anyway.
Yes.
So why make it worse?
It is there. You obviously bringing in a no-code, low-code platform should help solve that issue. It's not going to make it worse because it's going to have that IT review before it's actually implemented. So they're going to be happy that they've got a system, we've got a proper secure database, we've got proper secure lines of communication between sort of mobile devices and laptops and whatever the user interfaces are. So you've got that whole framework, and that should be all secure, not disparate systems built on spreadsheets and even
knocking out
well,
other systems.
well, we've seen it where
duplicate data
someone's
everywhere.
actually emailed a spreadsheet, that's got like 5 years worth of customer data on it,
Wow.
and they've realised, that's a bit of a security breach there, and it can happen. Or someone's deleted one, and and there was only one copy of it because it didn't back up. So those are the kind of issues that IT have to deal with Shadow IT. Where you adopt the right no-code, low-code software application platform, you then ensure, well, your data is absolutely secure and it's backed up as well. So, as soon as I've captured it and I've sent that back to the database, there's a transactional handshake, so the data is not going to get lost in that transaction, and that data is secure and on the database. That's not going to get deleted by anybody, and it's backed up as well, probably too.
Let me just check whether there was anything else that we haven't gone over. I'm actually going to leave my last slide now up. So, Paul, I'm giving everyone your email address just to reach out. So if you do have any questions, because I know that there was a lot of discussion, not necessarily questions today. Someone's asking, actually quite a few of you just now, we will make sure this is sent out as a record so you can actually watch it back. It may take 24, 48 hours to get that to you, and it will be sent to wherever you registered for this link, whether it was an email address or you went onto our website to do that, but we'll have your email and we'll send that out to you. So thank you very much. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
And
Thank you
that's
very
it
much.
for us.